Hey guys, welcome in. It is Brad with College SportsCast. I have John Roberts on with me tonight, and we are here to do a weekend wrap up show, though the baseball's not exactly wrapped up just yet.
Nope.
We executed.
I heard a fan offer free Dippin' Dots if I blew it.
Wanted to have some fun, execute.
I had bombs.
Stay as a team, execute, give 100%.
Dippin' Dots sound good.
All right, guys, welcome back. It is Brad with College Sportscast. I've got my baseball guy on here with me today, John Roberts. What's up?
What's happening?
Man, I'm liking these baseball playoffs.
Yeah, well, I mean, here's the deal. We've gotten a bunch of blowouts or high scoring games, not necessarily blowouts, but high scoring games. Some of them have been blowouts. But high scoring games, I think yesterday the winners averaged, because we went through, there was like 6 of them that had 10 runs went to the winner, and then you had an 18 run and a 2 run. So
right, yeah.
So they all averaged 10 runs. It was incredible, but again, it's high scoring. It's a lot of high scoring, so it just means the pitching feels like it's kind of waning out, or everybody's through their best guy first. Maybe game 1. So it depends. Because it's game 2 for some yesterday. Game 1 for others. So there were 4 games that started on Friday. All 8 games were yesterday. A couple of them have wrapped up. So you had about 3 of them that wrapped up. They were all ACC teams that won. So UNC took care of West Virginia. You had Virginia, who took care of, I believe, UConn. Sorry, K-State.
Yeah.
Sorry, K-State. There was Florida State that took care of UConn. Sorry, I had the wrong state and the wrong UConn, or the wrong UConn with the wrong team. So so that's been so the ACC is taking care of business right now. Now, the final ACC team, right? There's only one more team that was ACC that's in this.
There's 2 left.
Two more.
Yeah,
And so one just forced or one is going to be in a game 3 tomorrow, and that's Georgia and NC State. So NC State being the ACC team. The other one is currently in game 2, trying to force a game 3, and that is Clemson and Florida. Florida won game 1 yesterday, and right now they are tied in the top of the 5th. Jack Caglione is pitching and has already hit a home run. There has been an ejection, a very controversial ejection in this game already. There was an incident at first base. The benches cleared out, and the runner that was on second base for Clemson came off of the bag and came toward the incident at first base. He was the only one that was ejected out of the game, I believe.
Yeah, it was just the one.
Whereas
it was kind of a weak ejection, to be honest with you.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. It's a controversial thing. It's not one that everybody would agree with, because, I mean, if you're going to eject that guy for doing what he did, then you should eject everybody that came off the benches from both teams. Anybody that approached first base that should not have been going in the direction of first base should have all been ejected. I mean, if you're going to lay down if you're going to go down with law of the land, you eject everybody that does that. Now, if you do that, it possibly ends up throwing everybody out. Who knows? So.
Yep. Well, before we dive straight in here on everything that's kind of going on here with the baseball regionals, I do want to talk to you about our Facebook page real quick here. So if you are joining us on Facebook, you can help support us by sending us stars. Every star that you send helps us earn money to continue to make more content for you. Or there is a second way you can help support us, and that is you can subscribe to our Facebook page now. It's only 99 cents a month, and that helps us earn money as well. If you do subscribe, you get a special subscribers page, and I do post and do things just on that subscribers page, and that is another way that you can help support us. Also, like, share, view, interact on post and all that, and that helps a little bit as well. So I wanted to put that out there to start the show off with. Along the bottom there, I have our True Victory, and the code for our True Victory that is currently going there. True Victory is a veteran-owned sporting goods, and they have awesome stuff. Like I said, it's veteran-owned, and you can use the Fanboys for a 15% discount. So I want to throw those two things up to kind of start the show here. All right. With that said, I was going to start basically where with the number one team. So number one Tennessee is playing Evansville this weekend in a super regional.
Yep.
And Evansville is the 9th ever 4 seed to make a super regional. So we'll start with that. And in the first game, Tennessee takes care of business in this game, in the first game. These games, the 4 that I'm going to start with are the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, if necessary, series. This is one of those, the Evansville versus Tennessee. John, I know you're paying attention to all this. How did you think about how this series started, and then the kind of surprise yesterday? So, All
right. So I've been in Chicago. I was able to watch a little bit of some of these games, more so Friday than Saturday. Saturday I was driving back all day. I got a little bit of baseball in yesterday. So Friday, not surprising, you have a blowout win for Tennessee. I think Tennessee ended up putting up pretty good numbers on them. Ended up, I think it took a little bit, but they started kind of piling
it was
in
like
on
11-5 or 11-6.
Right, but I think it ended up happening about midway late in the game when they started really pushing away from them. And again, that's exactly what you expect to see from Tennessee, hitting home runs again, left and right. A lot of balls were flying out of that ballpark. And then yesterday, Evansville was able to hang in there with them and was able to win 10-8. So,
I got to give a shout out. So Evansville has the home run leader in the NCAA tournament right now.
So they have
before today's games.
Yep.
I mean, just in the tournament is what I'm saying.
I got you. The tournament home run leader. Yeah.
The tournament home run leader. Yeah.
Right. And like I said, ball flies out of that ballpark. It plays small. I think there was somebody that called it a JV ballpark. On Twitter, and I thought that was kind of funny. It looks nice. It's got, stands that, go straight up. You've got stuff around the outfield, but it does play small. so ball flies out of the ballpark real easy. It doesn't seem like it's incredibly small. It is 385, I think, either in the gaps or straightaway center. Auburn will play similar to that with 385 in the Canyon, 385. I think it's 385. It may be 400 straightaway center at Auburn, but I think
Kentucky Proud Park's 400 straightaway center.
See, and those are bigger parks. That one's going to be more of a pitcher's park, when you start playing, just because. But I mean, look,
you get 385, 390. That makes a difference. 10, 15 feet, a pretty big difference.
So, and that was really the I think that's kind of the way it is that it just plays small. And
so,
I mean,
let me give you a stat here that I've seen. You're the baseball guy. You probably know this, but Evansville yesterday was the very first 4 seed to win a game. There's only been 9 of them. They're the very first 4 seed to ever win a super regional game against the number 1 overall seed.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now it's not they're not the first one. Obviously, you said they were the 9th one to make it to super regionals. There have been a few of them that have made it to Omaha. So it's not the first one to ever win games in super regionals, but it is the first to ever beat the number 1 overall
seed. Yes.
And here's another stat for you. The number 1 overall seed, since they've gone to this model, and this model is the super regionals, and then regionals, super regionals, and then going to Omaha, started in 1999. So this is 25 years.
Yep.
Only won the whole thing one time, and that was the very first year in 1999 when Miami did it.
Right.
So that's it.
Yeah.
Number one seed.
Get that all year long, or all tournament long as well.
Right.
So
they are the number 1 seed. I think 2 years ago, I think they were the number 1 seed going into it and got beat in regionals or super regionals. I think Wake Forest was the number 1 seed last year. They got beat in Omaha. So look, the number 1 seed has not fared well. Thank you, John. We got John Hammonds, our partner, who is asking me where Auburn is. As you can see, look, I've got Auburn. This is our home field apparel. Auburn baseball. It's in the Auburn baseball script right here. Very comfortable shirt.
He's always going to be an Auburn guy. It doesn't make no difference.
Look, I'm going to be an Auburn guy. Look, I understand they are. They just weren't that good this year. It's weird. You could say they weren't that good. They were very bad, or at least they had a very poor record in the SEC. Their pitching just wasn't great. They weren't giving. They gave up too many home runs. They didn't have a lot of swing and miss between those guys. But you put them in some of the other conferences around the country, and they might have won some of those conferences. Not gonna say they were going to win every one of them. Not every P5 conference would they have ever won, but they could have won some of those conferences. But the SEC just being as loaded as it is, the ACC this year, you probably weren't going to do anything with that either. You're probably going to end up faring the same. They did take out a few of the ACC teams this year, just in outside of conference. They were able to play Georgia Tech, and they did play Virginia, who's in the who is in Omaha. They did get through to Omaha, and they played Virginia very, very close this year. One game early in the season, and they played them very close and ended up winning. Or not winning. They lost by like 1 or 2 late in the game.
Right.
May have been even
John,
walk
what
off.
do you think is going to happen today? This is going to be game 3 in this series, Evansville, Tennessee. I mean, do you give the Purple Aces any shot here to win this game?
Look, you're playing in game 3, so you always have a shot. But I believe, look, the biggest difference between the bigger teams in the lower seeded or the between an SEC or a P4, P5 team versus a mid-major is you're probably going to have a little bit more depth. All right.
Yeah.
Pitching depth, everything like that. And I just think that Tennessee's going to end up having more pitching.
That definitely should matter.
It should, and you're going to throw everybody. Everybody that can throw will throw. So
I'm not saying it will matter. I'm saying it should matter.
Right. So even the guys that threw yesterday, anybody that threw yesterday outside the starter is eligible to play. Anybody outside of Friday night starter, and even then, Friday night starter could come back as a closer. Not really sure if you really want that if you're Evansville, just because of the score that happened on Friday, but you could potentially see something of that sort. So basically, outside of the starter yesterday, everybody, and that's both teams. Because even Tennessee it's a must-win for Tennessee as well. They probably have a lot better. Again, they probably have a lot better depth before going into that kind of panic mode. Evansville, the moment if they start in the game, you have to go into it. So
Tony
they
the
may
Tiger going to show up.
They who knows? But they may end up having to pull and pull starters. Both teams could pull starters very quickly and go straight into bullpen.
I joke, but he's a great coach.
Yeah, no, he is, and he's been very tame. It seems like in the past year.
That's what I said. Because he there for a while. I mean, he really has some emotion and like fire, and he's kind of been tame like this year.
Correct. Yeah, and I think he's actually a little bit more likable. I mean, he was more of a guy that was kind of a brash kind of guy that you either loved him or you hated him. Now the fact that he has been more tame. He's kind of a guy that's a little bit more likable. I mean, look, he's a guy that has been on the Arkansas staff. He worked under Van Horn for a while, and then now he's taken over Tennessee. Tennessee has had multiple stints at number 1 overall in the country.
Very, very well since he took over.
Yeah, and so I mean, obviously he knows his stuff. He knows what he's doing. He has worked the portal as well. He's gotten guys from different places. Billy A make their third baseman portal guy. I believe one of their outfielders is from Bama, so another portal guy. So there's several different things. I mean, he's gone out recruited really well. I mean, look, they got Chase Burns in there originally, which he's now with Wake Forest or is finished. They finished their season and now could potentially be the number 1 pick in the draft. Who knows? There's several different people that could be
John,
potential number 1s. But
I picked Tennessee in this series. I was pretty shocked yesterday, to be honest with you, and I would be even more shocked if Evansville pulls this upset. I'm going Tennessee here.
Right.
I mean, I feel like they definitely have the overall better team here in this series. Doesn't mean in a one-game setting that anything can happen. We saw that yesterday. You have no idea, what can happen in a one-game.
Get it to a game 3, and anything can happen.
Yeah, I mean,
game 3 and anything can happen. And so that's the thing. I mean, look, several of these games are going to go to a game. There's going to be a couple of these games that are going to go to a game 3. Tennessee and Evansville is a game 3 right now. Now Florida is just taking a 2-run lead right now, so it's 5-3 Florida. But Clemson is trying to push that to a game 3. Georgia, NC State is a game. They're going to
a game 3. Yeah,
they're going to a game 3. So, but it looked like all but the.
Yes.
Which one? The Tennessee. All but the Tennessee.
That's the only series
so far out of the ones that started on Friday. That's the only series that has gone to a game 3. Now, of course,
So I'm gonna run through those here real quick with you.
Right.
You had UConn against Florida State. Florida State was the 8th seed overall in the tournament here, and the opening game, I mean, they just run roughshod over UConn and wins 24-4.
Yeah, I posted in
like
our group chat that they played football yesterday. That they played
Yeah, it
football
looked
on
like a
Friday.
football
I was
score.
like, what the heck is this?
Yeah,
24-4.
yeah, it was 24-4.
I
Yeah,
think they played that one early on Friday as
they
well.
did. I
Because
think
it
they
was
were the
one of those
early
that
game.
I got to. I didn't get to see that one. I usually was clicking on and watching games, in the evening once we were coming back from whatever we were doing, and so I was able to, watch some of the later games, but I couldn't watch the I couldn't watch the first one. And then I think where we were at, they were only so we were in my brother-in-law's house, and so instead of going and pulling up my ESPN account and where I can watch everything that's on ESPN Plus, which were 3 of the 4 games, I think I could only really watch one of the games, so I ended up watching that. So but yeah.
And then yesterday, the game was a lot tighter, a lot more close. And UConn actually may have tied or taken the lead once or twice. I'm not real sure. It was 10-8, but Florida State pulled it out late and wins 10-8. And I believe they were the first team yesterday to advance to Omaha.
It makes sense. Yeah, they were the first team, and then Virginia followed after that.
Yeah,
and then UNC was the night game, so they were able
was
to.
the nightcap last night.
Yep.
Yeah, the late game.
Yep.
So FSU out of the ACC, of course. This is going to be a theme here over the next 3 that we talk about. Moves on to Omaha. 8 teams here move on to Omaha, and FSU is the first one to do it. And then, like you said, yesterday mid-afternoon was the K-State versus Virginia game. The Friday game was a very close game. There was a 3-run home run late, and Virginia won 7-4. I don't think it was a walk-off. I think it was like an 8th inning thing or something like that, I believe. But it was a 3-run shot that put Virginia ahead 7-4. It was a tie game, and that was on Friday. And then yesterday, John, it really kind of looked like Virginia kind of controlled the game a little bit better.
They were controlling the game, and they started pulling away late in that one. I do remember watching a little bit of this one yesterday afternoon, evening. It seemed like they had like a 2 or 3 run lead, and then they ended up piling on late in the game in the 7th, 8th, or 9th inning, somewhere right around there. Because they would have been the away team. All of the host teams are the away team on in game 2. So many of these were, they were going to bat in the 9th inning with whether they had the lead or not. And I think I know that Virginia did score a few runs late, kind of pad.
Yeah, they win yesterday 10-4. So, they sweep the best 2 out of 3 here, and this is at Charlottesville. It was at Virginia. And they are the second ACC team here to move on to Omaha.
Right.
Now, late last night, this was the late game last night. You had West Virginia and North Carolina, and I can't remember Friday. Wasn't it a walk-off?
Walk-off by Vance Honeycutt.
Yes.
This has been a relatively low-scoring series. I think they won 6-5 or 6 something like that in game 1. They won 2-1 in game 2.
Yeah, 2-1 yesterday. Yes.
Right. Vance Honeycutt scored both runs for Virginia for North Carolina in game 2. He ended up walking off Friday night
Yeah.
And then Saturday on the first pitch, hit a solo shot to lead off the game on Saturday. So in back-to-back pitches
Back-to-back,
of the series, because again, North Carolina was a visiting team. Back-to-back pitches in the series were Vance Honeycutt home runs. He walked off game one. He led off game two in the first with the first pitch of the game and went yard on that. His next at bat, he ended up having a bunt for a single, and later scored. I think they had about 3 hits or so in the second or third inning. He came back up and had a bunt single. There were a couple of hits that eventually scored him, and that was the second run, and that was all they needed.
Yeah, I mean, it was in Chapel Hill, of course. They were the four. North Carolina's the overall number 4 seed here, and they win here at home. They had to have a walk off and win a close game here, but with K-State and West Virginia losing, just want to throw this out here. This is the first time since 2013 that the Big 12 will not have somebody represented in Omaha.
That is pretty crazy. It's nuts right there. Another thing with Vance Honeycutt, and I did see this. I mean, I was watching this game, so I saw this live. He had an outfield assist, ended up having a double play. He ended up catching a fly ball in center field. And
he's basically Mr. Do-It-All for North Carolina.
Yes. And it was a crazy play, but it was one that they needed to have late in the game or in the middle of the game. And it was nuts. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he basically done it all for this series anyway. And of course, North Carolina here and the Tar Heels move on to Omaha. And with that said, yesterday there was 3 tickets punched for Omaha. All 3 are out of the ACC, which there's still 2 more playing right now. Technically, you got Clemson still playing, and you got NC State still playing. Clemson has to come from behind. NC State is tied 1-1 right now, but there's still 2 other teams. Do they get half the field here at Omaha, you think?
Well, it's possible. Here's the deal. Right now, Clemson has just hit a solo home run. They're now down 5-4 in the top of the 6th inning. Off of Jack Caglione. Caglione is still pitching, and has served up a home run. It is now 5-4, Florida. And look, it really depends on what Georgia shows up, because that team
we'll get to that series.
Jekyll and Hyde.
It's been 2 very lopsided games in that series.
So you get a really good Georgia, you get a really bad Georgia. That's one team that could make it where they get half the field. Look, the SEC's had half the field. I can't remember if the ACC's ever put 4 into Omaha. I know the SEC's had 4 into Omaha before. And if Georgia gets eliminated here, then the ACC will be able to do it, and the SEC won't do it this year just because they only have 4 in the supers, and 1 would be eliminated if either one of these teams pulls it off. You'll have an SEC team eliminated. So I don't think anybody's ever put 5 in, but the SEC has done that multiple times. The ACC might have done it at least once. They're the only other conference that could have done it. I don't think the Pac-12, Big 12 have ever put 4 into one College
I mean,
World
if the Pac-12 has done it, it's probably years ago. If they have.
They've never done it with the current teams that they do have.
Right.
So
right.
The current formation, whether it was the Pac-10 or the Pac-12, they've never done it. The SEC's done it in the last 25 years, like 3 or 4 times.
Right. That's what I mean.
And they were the first ones to do 4 teams into Omaha. So, and I think, like I said, the ACC has possibly done it at least once, possibly. So it is not a far reach that the ACC has ever done. I think the ACC has done it at least once. I think I've looked this up and seen this. If not, then this is the ACC's opportunity for the first time to ever do it.
That's not one that I researched, but I know that 4 is the max that any conference that's ever gotten. I do know that. Yeah.
And the SEC's done it multiple times. I just can't remember if the ACC has ever done it once.
Right.
Because they'd be the only other conference that's done it, if it's been done before by another
All
team.
right, man. I'm going to try to move on here to the Kentucky game last night.
Okay.
Kentucky played at the 6 o'clock Eastern time window, I guess you could say, TV window last night. And for the very first time ever, they are playing a home super regional. And yours truly bought some tickets and went to the game last night to open it up, to be honest with you. It was my first time ever being at Kentucky Proud Park. Kentucky Proud Park has only been there 4 or 5 years, maybe something like that at the most. It's a great venue, great place to go see a game. It was absolutely packed last night. Got to say, they set a record crowd.
They've been doing that a lot.
Nearly 7,500 people there last night.
Yeah.
Yes, they have, but they set another record last night in the Super Regional. I kind of expect that record to be broken tonight. Yes. They play the late game tonight, and I kind of expect that record to be broken tonight. But so Kentucky is there's only 2 of these 8 Super Regional team are matchups that have ranked versus ranked, and Kentucky versus Oregon State is one of them. Oregon State is a 15 seed by the NCAA tournament committee here, and Kentucky was the 2nd overall seed. And this is one of ranked versus ranked. Oregon State, up to the last week or so, there was many saying that they might get the top 8 seeds.
Right.
They lost a couple of games to Arizona late, and that's the reason why they dropped to a 15 seed here. But they do have a really good team, and Kentucky played excellent last night. Absolutely just excellent.
Yeah. No, when I turned on the TV and it was 11-0, that would pretty much mean that either one of 2 things happened. One team absolutely fell on their face, or one team was just showing out, or a little bit of both. But yeah, so
it was a little bit of both, to be honest.
11-0 is a strong game 1 performance. So for your sake, I hope they do it again.
They've got one of the best hitters, and they got one of the best hitters in baseball, Travis Pizzana. He is probably going to be a top 5, maybe top 3 pick in the MLB draft here at the end of the month. And they kept him in tow last night. Listen, Trey Poozer, if you don't know his name, he's been magnificent in the postseason and leading up. A game or 2 before, he has just been. He's got a .047 ERA in the postseason. That's kind of good.
That's
yeah, that's okay. And he's a starting pitcher. He pitched 7. So between him and the reliever last night, they pitched a one hitter.
I was about to say there was a one hitter last night. So
It was
you guys
a
one
hitter.
hit. You guys one hit a team that was in the College World Series, I think last year. And but yeah, I mean, it was just that was actually no, they weren't. They weren't. You know why? Because Auburn put them out.
Auburn put them out. Okay.
Yeah, I believe so. Unless I'm blurring 2022 and 2023. When Auburn went to the World Series last, they went to Corvallis and won the Super Regional in Corvallis and beat.
But I think that
them.
was
And
year
I think
before
that was.
last.
So you're saying 2020? Yeah, that's right. It was 2022 because 2023 Auburn hosted and didn't get out of the regional. That's what it was. Sorry. So 2022 was a year. I mean, look, Oregon State's been has been in the mix.
Didn't they win it all? Didn't they win it all against Arkansas in like 18 or 19 or something like that?
Yeah, so they did. They went back to back in the early aughts, so like 05, 06 or 06, 07, somewhere in that area. They went back to back, and then they won it again. I can't remember if they went back to back or not, but I thought they went back to back again. One of those being the Arkansas series where the first baseman for so that's God, I can't remember the guy's name, but I think he's with the Orioles, and I think he's actually playing Kerstad. I want to say that was Kerstad that had the ball in his glove. First baseman for the Orioles, or if he's not with the Orioles, he's been called up at least once. But Kerstad had the ball. It was a foul ball. He should have got it. Went in and out of his glove, or they let it drop in between him and some others. Anyway, that would have been the last out of the game. They would have won the game. They would have won the series at that moment. It allowed Oregon State to hang around. Oregon State scored a few more runs, won the game, and then won game 3. So, yeah. And that would have been Arkansas's first ever College World Series. But since they didn't win that, they've yet to win the College World Series as good as they've been.
So Kentucky now has a 1-0 lead. They play the late game tonight in game 2. It doesn't come on until 9 o'clock Eastern time.
Yeah, I was about to say 9 o'clock Eastern. It's 8 o'clock Central.
Eastern. Yeah, it's 8 Central, 9 o'clock Eastern. And you're going up against a perennial power here. You've got some really good hitters. I mean, I don't even – go look at Travis Bazzana's on OBS, okay? I didn't even know that was that number was possible, to be quite honest with you. I've never seen a number that high. If it's the one that I was looking at and it was correct last night on the scoreboard, I don't even know if that's correct, so I'm not even going to say it because it sounds insane. I've never even seen an OBS that high. But if it's right, wow, no wonder he's going to be a top 3 pick.
Yeah. So his are you talking about the on base percentage?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's the deal. He's actually not even the number 1 in the country in that. He's number 2 in the country.
What is it?
Okay. So his OBS or his OBP is 566. He's gotten on base more than 50% of the time that he gets up. The number 1 and the number 3 are a pair of Georgia guys. One is number 1 is Corey Collins, the first baseman for Georgia, has an OBP of 581. And then Charlie Condon is number 3 with 561. He's right behind Travis Bazzana. But
Kentucky here, they have been living on some really good starting pitching.
Yes.
Now, I Now they can hit the cover off the ball at times, and they can play small ball at times too. This is a really good team. My biggest concern is middle relief. That's where they've had any issues this year is middle relief. So if we can get a starting pitcher tonight, and I'm not sure if they're going to go Mason Moore here tonight and try to close this out. Mason Moore has been the Sunday guy all year. He was the third game guy last week in the regional. So I don't know if they're going to wait and do Mason Moore possibly tomorrow.
Well, here's the thing. Look, because they won game one, there is a guarantee that if they lose tonight, that they're still playing again. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
So I would say that if they had lost game one, you would definitely see Mason Moore.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So it is a possibility. I'll go look and see if they've even announced anybody as a starter.
I don't think they have yet.
Do they announce starters in? I don't know if they announced starters in college like this.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of
Mason Moore has a 20.1 zero earned run streak, 20.1 innings in the NCAA tournament dating back to last year, and he pitched 4.1 innings against the LSU Tigers last year in the Super Regional and shut them out for 4.1 innings as well. So
yeah,
you guys remember how good LSU was. I don't know.
Yeah.
But Kentucky didn't win because he only pitched 4.1 innings, but Mason Moore was lights out even with that line.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if he's going to pitch tonight or not. They may go. I think it's Dominic is the Saturday guy that they've been using.
Gotcha. Yeah. Both have as of right now, both as far as I can tell, both are TBA or the TBD. Yeah. So
yeah, I don't think they've announced anything yet.
I didn't know TBD could play for both teams, but
yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm pretty sure. But so if Kentucky can close this out, then it's the first time ever that they go to Omaha, and Kentucky is the only out of the current 14 teams. I'm not counting Texas and Oklahoma, and I'm pretty sure both of them have been too. But Kentucky is the only SEC team that has never been to Omaha. True story.
Missouri's been. I guess Missouri's been.
I guess they have because I seen a list. Yeah. I'm not sure when, but I've seen a list where Kentucky is the only SEC team that has not been to Omaha.
Yeah, well, I mean, Texas and Oklahoma have already been too. So even if you add them,
sure
they're still going to be the only one. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I'm trying to think just because, I mean, Auburn's been like 5 times or so. I mean, both the Mississippi schools have won the whole thing. LSU's won it. Texas A&M has been. I don't know. I'd have to go look to see if they've won it.
Arkansas's
been. They've never won, but they've been.
Yeah.
South Carolina's won it. Florida's won it. Vandy's won it.
Tennessee was there last year.
Tennessee was there. So, Tennessee's been there. Alabama's been there. Multiple
Vandy's
times.
won it.
Yep. So, the only one, I mean, outside of Missouri, Missouri's the only other one that I wouldn't know a whole lot. They haven't been, to my knowledge, since they've been in the SEC.
They probably haven't since they've been in the SEC. Yeah.
No, they haven't because, again, I don't remember them being great or being that good while being in the SEC. But they did.
Big
in the
8.
early 2000s, they did have a one pitcher. Now, this is one pitcher, doesn't necessarily mean that puts them in the World Series, but they did have one Max Scherzer early in the 2000s.
Right.
I believe he would have been there in maybe 2001, 2, and 3, or 2001, 2, and 3, somewhere in that
Something like
neighborhood.
that.
Yep,
Right.
that's because I'm trying to remember about how old he is. I think he's maybe 41.
Well,
40,
you can see
41.
my colors here. Go Big Blue. I'm for Kentucky. So, I mean, Oregon State is no slouch. I mean, they are a definite, legit perennial power in baseball. So I expect to see them come out with some fight tonight. And you just never know how this is gonna work out. But to be at home and to have a 1-0 lead, and you got to win 1 out of 2, you can't ask for a better advantage than that. So you got Mason Moore, like I said, in the hole here. Just got to make a decision whether you're going to pitch him tonight or you're going to wait and pitch him tomorrow in a possible game 3.
Right.
But I mean, Kentucky's in a good spot, and they won big and shut them out. One hitter last night, and we've been talking about all these games with 10 and 18 and 24 runs and all this stuff. When you can one hit somebody and shut somebody out, that's pretty impressive.
It is. It is. It is. It doesn't matter who you are or what team you did it to. If you can one hit anybody, then this is a team to. I mean, look. I mean, you can. It's something to be proud of. It doesn't matter who you do it to. It doesn't matter if you did it to, a D2 school. I mean, a D2 school still got several players that can play.
Yeah.
And
right.
Should be able to, find some form of hole or whatever in the defense to get a hit, and, to be able to one hit somebody, no matter who it is, especially even on this stage, in this, in this part of the tournament, in the super regionals, when you're essentially the Sweet 16 of baseball and you one hit somebody, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, it was a great game. I love the atmosphere. I mean, it was great to be there. Like I said, to help support and to be there for the record. But most likely that record's going to last for about 24 hours.
Correct, because I think that record will be broken again tonight. So
or if Kentucky, it goes to game 3, it'll be broken tomorrow.
It'll be broken again. It'll just be broken again. It'll be broken again tonight, and then I think it'll be broken again tomorrow if there is a game 3. So, look, Kentucky has got a history of doing this over the last couple of weeks. Every time there's a home game, it just seems like they break whatever the attendance record is. Each progressing day. So whether that is during the regionals or during the last few series at home, they were breaking records. So
they were breaking records
I fully expect them to break the record tonight, and then if there is one again tomorrow, they'll break it again tomorrow.
Yep, I agree. All right, so this next we're going to go to, this is the other series that I was saying is ranked versus ranked. You've got NC State versus Georgia, and this one is the one I was talking about, John. It's just been lopsided. We've had 2 games now on Saturday and Sunday. These are all Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, if necessary, series here that I'm talking about now when I started with Kentucky a second ago. NC State wins 18-1 yesterday, and then today Georgia wins 11-2.
Right. Yeah. That's just it's nuts.
Yeah. Getting spanked 18-1 in Athens in game 1 is a little eye-opening. Because this is in Athens.
It is.
For Georgia. So for them to come back though, after a spanking, like 18-1, to come back and win 11-2. They were up 11-0. They hit a couple of solo shots, I think, late to make it 11-2 here in the game today. But so we get a rubber match tomorrow. We get at least one Monday game here. So we're going to see at least one game, matchup and some Monday baseball here.
Yep. Look, the teams here and today, look, I'm looking at today's stats here for the box score for today for Georgia, NC State. Look, it looks like NC State, because of the way that the game went yesterday, would have held Charlie Condon, one of the finalists for the Gold Spikes, to next to nothing. Today he was 1 for 4, runs scored, walk. So, whereas I would imagine yesterday he was probably in the 0 for.
He was. I'm
business.
pretty sure yesterday. Yeah.
So, but you're keeping the home run ball down from him. Now,
but he had a few teammates to hit the long ball today.
Correct. So you got Slade Alford, you got Corey Collins, and you've got Totes, or whatever his name is hit a home run today, and along with Phelps, the DH. They all hit home runs today, so they were able to still hit the long ball. They don't have to rely on Charlie Condon, right. But the fact is that they've been able to keep Condon at bay, and then on game 1 they kept everybody at bay. I mean, look, Georgia's got some offensive players on their team, and those guys
their question mark really has been pitching.
Correct. Yes. They've been able to score a lot of runs, and it is pitching, and obviously pitching was not great yesterday. Pitching is still but today ended up being very good with
like I said, they were ahead 11-0 really, and they hit a couple of late solo shots, I think.
Right. And
to make it 11-2.
Right. And Finley went 6.2 innings, had 8 hits, 1 earned run, and 5 strikeouts, and they were able to use their closer, Zeldin. He came in for 2.1 innings and gave up 1 hit, 1 earned run, and had a strikeout. So, but yeah, that's something that they've been. Look, Zeldin's been pretty good, but yes, the rest of the pitching staff has been hit or miss. And so when they're on, but when they're not, Georgia's offense has got to be the one.
The big question here is now you get a Monday game in Athens. You get SEC versus ACC. ACC's already got 3 in. Right now, where we're sitting right now, the SEC has none in.
Correct. But they could possibly have up to 3 in by the time this game takes place.
Yes, because Kentucky could win tonight.
Correct.
A&M can win tonight.
Correct. And Florida could win right now.
And Florida could win today.
Right.
Going on that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they have a 3-run lead in the bottom of the 6th. And they're threatening.
3-3. Yeah, it could be 3-3 just in those games there.
Yeah.
But this is going to be ACC, SEC. More than likely, this is going to be a 4th team for one of those conferences. I don't know that for sure. We'll see how everything goes, but I think that might be how this plays out. And if not, it's at least going to be a 3rd team, I would think, for the SEC.
So we could potentially, and I'm looking at this right now. Let's look at this. We've got that one's in. That's 1 ACC. That's 2 ACC. That's 3 ACC. Now, we could have Tennessee, A&M, and Kentucky all in. That's 3 SEC with the 3 current ACC, right?
Yeah.
if they split these two games, so say NC State takes out Georgia tomorrow,
And Florida takes out Clemson.
And Florida takes out Clemson, then you've got 4 and 4. And it's all SEC, all ACC.
And
that's that. I don't know if that's ever happened before. I don't think that's that's never happened before, because you've never had 4 teams from 2 different conferences in one single year. Like I said, the SEC has definitely put 4 in at one point, but
there is a big
I don't remember
if that could happen.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, look,
there's a pretty good chance.
Right. And if Oregon or Oregon State or Evansville don't, come back and put out one of these SEC teams in, then look, you're guaranteeing an SEC or ACC team with the Georgia and the Florida series. Doesn't matter which way it goes.
Right.
It could go either way. But So look, the ACC has got a potential to put 5 teams in. The SEC has a potential to put 5 teams in.
Yeah.
And it could be 5 and 3, or it could be 5 and 3 the other way. So it is absolutely nuts that this could happen. I think Texas A&M should be able to shut the door on Oregon tonight. We're going to get into that series in just a minute, but I think that they have that ability to do that. I think Kentucky has a pretty good shot to go at least one of the next 2. It may not be tonight, but I think they've got a shot to put one of the next 2.
I feel like Kentucky does. I really do.
I mean, you got to feel really good with being 1-0 to be able to put shut the door. So,
and having Mason Moore still in the bag,
right?
That
helps. That helps
really
a lot.
Makes you feel a little better too.
Right.
So
I think Tennessee
this NC State Georgia series though, man. I mean,
that one's
it could literally go either way.
It could.
It is.
I mean, look, we got some NC State guys in our group chat that we talk about. I mean, like, they're one of these. I'm like, well, I don't know. Pitching's the problem, but we're not really sure which one, which pitching shows up. Same thing with Georgia. Pitching's the problem.
Right.
The offense has been good, and it just depends on what shows up. I mean, obviously Georgia.
I'm gonna be honest with you, John. I picked against the SEC here I put a post out on Twitter and on Facebook with my pick'ems before the game started on Friday morning. I actually picked NC State here in this one.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna say that, I'm just letting you know I did make some pick'ems, and I did pick against Georgia here in this one. Mm-hmm. But with that said, moving on to the next one, I went with Florida in my pick'ems here in this series.
Still looking pretty good. Looking pretty good right now.
It's looking pretty decent. That pick is.
Yeah, they're going to the top. Going to the top of the 7th, and Florida's got a 7-4 lead. So
yes, and they won yesterday, so they could finish this series off in 2 at Clemson. Clemson is the 6th overall seed here, and Florida has them on the ropes.
That's right. So, some of the top seeds like Arkansas and a few others went down early in the regionals. This is one of these where there's another one of the top 8 that could go down right here, with Florida knocking off Clemson if the score holds out and remains true right here. So that's another top team. Helps out Kentucky if Kentucky were to put away Oregon State tonight, then just one less juggernaut to have to go through, in Omaha.
Right. So. Yeah, absolutely. That's for sure. I mean, listen, Florida is a beast in itself. I know their record. I know they were barely hanging on. I know they were barely above 500. I get all that. They struggled at times in the SEC. In SEC play, But man, they have such good hitting, and I mean they're just Caglione right now has been on a tear. I mean, he's murdering.
He's not just hitting the ball out of the ballpark.
I don't know.
He's not just hitting the ball out of the ballpark. He is absolutely crushing it. Because what was it last week?
I mean,
was it last week where he hit one, or was it yesterday that he hit one that there's a track, and I can't remember if this was at Clemson or if this was in Florida. Track behind if it was in Oklahoma State or if it was at
if you're talking about I think you're talking about the Oklahoma State one.
Okay, so that was the Oklahoma State where he put it on the track.
Yes, I mean he smoked it. I mean, so today's
home run. That's right, today's home run too.
Today's home run, okay, it's a breaking ball that drops. It's at his knees, okay, and I mean, you're not talking about high heat and all this stuff. I mean, it's a breaking ball, and he reaches down in a way that most hitters would never be able to do. Okay, he hits this ball like 440 feet over the
batter's eye.
I mean, yes,
the batter's eye. That's where it went.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, that's straight murdering the ball. Again, what you said earlier. I'm piggybacking off of what you just said.
It's
He's
unbelievable.
Murdering the ball. Yeah.
Yes, he is literally murdering the baseball. I'm serious. I mean, and he's dangerous. He's got 33 home runs. I mean, the way he's hitting, he's going to catch Charlie Condon.
He will. So he's got, obviously, if they win today, he will have a minimum of 2 more games to play where he can catch up.
Right.
They will be played in Charles Schwab Field or Charles Schwab Stadium in Omaha.
Still have 34?
Condon was at 34 the last time. Here, let me look. I've got the.
He was at 34.
I've got the offensive stats right here. He is at 36.
36. Okay.
He is at 36. Caglione is at 32.
33 today. He hit 33 today.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then he's got 3 more to go. He's got 3 more to catch up because Condon hadn't hit one in the Supers yet. So
right. And he's played 2 games. And Caglione's hit 3 games in a row.
Right.
Homers. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So this is another ACC SEC series here. Right this minute, it looks good, but in baseball, you can't catch your chickens before they hatch.
Nope.
Nope. Saying, So you never know here. This is at Clemson. They're probably going to try to do a 7th inning stretch and have a little rally here. But we'll see what happens in this series.
Right. Yep.
And then the late series last night was Texas A&M Oregon at Texas A&M. And this is Kentucky in this series will be the last hurrah for the Pac-12 as we know it. You have Oregon State and Oregon in the Pac-12 as we've always known it for 100+ years. And these are the last 2 teams here. Both lost last night. Both are on the ropes tonight. And Texas A&M did put, Oregon did put up a little bit more fight. They had a 6-3 lead in this game at one point in time last night. They did wind up losing 10-6 in this game last night. But do you think? Texas A&M has such good pitching and hitters,
right?
Like it's just, I think they're going to be a tough out even tonight.
Yeah, even with. So yesterday we had one of the game's best hitters go out with what looked like a broken leg, Braden Montgomery. So Texas A&M will be without their right fielder, Braden Montgomery. He, I believe, had a collision with the catcher and broke his leg yesterday, so he is not going to play. But does not mean that doesn't stop Texas A&M's offense, because you still got Jay Slaviette, and you've got you got several other players on that team that can still mash the ball. All right. So, but Montgomery is out for the remainder of whatever Texas A&M season is. So no matter how far they go, he will not play another game. But still, like I said, their offense is still crazy without him. It's still crazy. They're still really, really stinking good. So I still think that their pitching and their hitting will outdo Oregon, no matter how good Oregon has been over the season. But yes, they I think A&M does it, and they do it today. I think they could even bring out Aschenbach back in to close the game out, even though he threw multiple innings last night. Aschenbach is one of the top pitchers in the country, and of the, if not the top reliever. So they will more than likely, if they've got the lead going into late in the game, they're going to throw Aschenbach. Well. So, yep.
Yeah. That's kind of what I'm expecting to happen here tonight.
Out of all the games that are left, out of everything that's left, this is the one I'm the most certain of.
Yeah,
that A&M is going to win, and that they're going to win. Not only they're going to win the series, but they're going to do it tonight.
Yeah.
So,
all right. So that kind of gets us through the supers here in NCAA baseball super regional tournament, the super regionals here. So I'll put that to bed, and I have a couple of topics. I don't want to take a bunch of time on it.
Okay.
But there's a couple of kind of big things that's going on. And the first one, I'm gonna dig into the Caitlin Clark left off the women's Olympic basketball team. Do you view this as a good or bad thing, or do you view it as a snub, or how do you view them leaving Caitlin Clark off the women's Olympic basketball team?
Okay. How many times has the women won the gold in women's basketball?
I think every time since the WNBA's been around.
So it's like, say last seven Olympics, maybe.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So with or without Caitlin Clark, they're probably still going to win another one.
Yes. And if you look at the lineup, they have a good team.
Right.
A great team. Let's put it that way. They have a great team. If you look at the lineup, they have a great team.
Look, right now, Caitlin Clark has been such a divisive person within the WNBA and within sports in general, women's sports in general. To have her on the team, if she were to jump somebody on the team, being a rookie this year, that may cause even more divisiveness within the locker room. I think that her not making it this year is not really a big issue. I think this will give her time to...
Here's my only issue with it, okay? Mm-hmm. My real issue with it is this. Caitlin Clark brings eyes. Fans love to watch her play. Not only does she bring eyes, she brings tickets with eyes as well, okay? But viewership and everything is massively upgraded when Caitlin Clark is on the floor. And my thing is this. I feel like women's sports, by not having her on the team, the one thing that you're doing is you're missing the opportunity to raise the viewership significantly. a significant amount.
Okay.
And to have lots more eyes. And I'm gonna. So 2 nights ago, the Washington Mystics and the Indiana Fever, who are 3-20 on the season, okay, combined. If you combine their records, they're 3-20. They were, okay. They drew over 20,000 people to a game in Washington, not Indiana, in Washington. It is the largest crowd to watch a WNBA game since 1999. It's the largest crowd ever to a game that is a bunch of two trash teams with the Washington Mystics.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now, and here's another, I want to put a little caveat with this as well. With Caitlin will rise eyes and viewership on the team. Okay. And you also put Brittany Griner on this team. Brittany Griner done a few things with the Hate America stuff, Death to America, stuff that she's done. The stuff in Russia, the Black Lives Matter. I mean, Brittany Griner's done some things in her career that I believe, with her being on this team, you will see people shut women's basketball off. I think you will lose some viewership simply because Brittany Griner is on this team. So you've got somebody who is going to massively increase viewership, and you got somebody that's probably going to drop some viewership. And my thing is this: I feel like out of all this has nothing to do with basketball. It has to do with building your brand, building women's basketball in general as a sport. I feel like the USA Olympic Committee here is missing an opportunity to help build women's basketball in general.
I mean, look, they could be, and it is possible. I mean, I know, look, that she brings eyes and everything to the team. Again, with the team aspect, if there is still a divisiveness between the team, you want to have the team as a one thing, and it's not necessarily to bring eyes or anything like that. I would say that it would be a missed opportunity if you're talking about maybe all-stars or anything like that, because it's a whole league or whatever controlled. But when you're talking about the Olympics, the Olympics aren't controlling what the eyes like. It's not a U.S. thing or whatever.
No, but it's viewership.
I get it. But I think this is more of a divisiveness within the sport, within the team,
when you look at it from that point,
right there, and that's the only thing that I can really see with this
point, John. You're talking about divisiveness in the team and having a team that gel and likes each other and that kind of stuff. If you look at it from that point, I really don't have an issue with it.
And I think, look, honestly, in the next 4 years, when she's been in the league for 4 years, that she will be hands down, she'll be on the team, and that there will be more of either a likability within the locker room or whatever. There's going to she will have had 4 years to prove herself within the WNBA, to not only to the players and the other players within the league, and I think that there will be more of a respect to her. And you won't see as many people, running up and knocking her out in the middle of a game,
Right. Yeah, I agree with you.
Probably not going to see that as much. And when you do, if something like that were to happen, you're going to see more calls and more flagrants go against the people that are trying to do that. Right. That's what I'm saying. And her team actually coming to her rescue, because that's the other thing. The team's not really doing a whole lot.
That's one thing you're not seeing right now.
Yeah. So I think that this is more of a the team is more of a cohesiveness, and I think that's the reason why she's left off this year. If this were year 2 or year 3, if she had been in the league for 2 or 3 years, then I would say it's more of a snub. But I don't think it's as much of a snub this year
I don't really feel
as
like
it would be if this were year 2, year 3, year 4.
I think there's certain ways to look at it. If you're looking at basketball stuff on the floor and a team and everything else, then no. But if you're looking at it as far as building a brand and viewership and people wanting to pay attention and watch and things like that, then I think Caitlin Clark has to be there. So I mean, it just depends on what you're talking about, in my opinion, on this.
Yep.
But the second topic, real quick, that I wanted to talk about is Dan Hurley is currently being offered a reported $8 million, $100 million by the Lakers to be their next head coach. Of course, Dan Hurley is the 2-time defending champs coach of UConn. And, I just wanted – so it's kind of twofold. Do you think the Lakers, get their guy here? And then how is that going to leave a hole not only at UConn, but in college basketball?
All right. So, one, as far as the Lakers concerned, there's multiple things. It's not just the money that they're trying to throw at him. The question is he's been living over here on the East Coast, and you're about to pull him all the way to the West Coast.
They're trying.
So one, how easy is that going to be to pick his family up and move out to the West Coast? Does he have more family out on the West Coast? Because, again, he's the son of Bob Hurley, right?
He's in the East Coast. Well, so Bobby's at Arizona State.
Right. So, again, there's other factors. It just depends, again, a family thing. It may be more than just money that is that's being that would pull him from being a college coach to being the coach of the Lakers. I was watching ESPN and they had several different pundits on, and one guy was just like, he'll have every opportunity to coach at any school if it doesn't work out with the Lakers, or at any time in his career. He could coach anywhere.
To come back into college.
He can coach anywhere. He said, but there's only one Lakers.
Yeah.
And I said, well, that's true.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you got to understand who he is and what he's about. Now, college coaches now with NIL, because there's so much uncertainty with the NIL, and that there's a lot of college coaches that are out there talking about how the NIL is a detriment to what they're doing. You are getting more professional now that players are starting to make some money. They're starting to garner more attention doing that. But it really depends on what his deal is with that. He's been able to work around that. He's been able to have a team in UConn at a discount because they're not paying as much money in the NIL, and nor are they planning on doing that. So, it just depends on, does he feel like he can still sell, UConn to players without selling them that they're not going to make, bukus of money in the NIL.
Right.
So if he feels like that he is okay with that, then he may still stay in UConn.
If he leaves and UConn's got to hire somebody, what kind of domino effect and what kind of hole? I mean, who do they go after? What kind of hole is that going to leave? Like, it's pretty interesting to think about.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you think about, when Steve Spurrier left Florida for the NFL.
And the portal's been closed for over a month, and a lot of the players are already gone, so that would open the portal for UConn players.
It would.
But then there's anybody left in there. So, it makes you think, well, what happens to UConn, if they hire somebody and a bunch of the players leave?
Right.
I mean, it's just in today's world, being this late in June, in June now.
And it could cause a massive domino effect, because you could have some big name coach from from Team X go to UConn, right? Well, then that opens that team up to the point. And then so on and so forth, depending on how this works out. So if they keep, like, say, somebody on staff or whatever, and that person takes over, then it starts and stops with UConn.
Have the massive thing,
right. And it could be that everybody stays. Everybody may have jumped into the portal, but they may
they
all
could
come
do
back.
that. They could hire the Luke Murray guy,
right?
That's been kind of his right hand man there, and they could do that if that happens. So it's not like it's out of the realm of possibility. It is a possibility
if he doesn't bring him along with him,
right?
So it's kind of like, So who knows? That would be a. And it just really depends. This whole deal just really depends on Dan Hurley's comfortability with the NBA model or his uncertainty with the NCAA model. I mean, it's really, I think that's what it really.
I'm going to be honest with you. So
boils down to.
It's not been even 2 months ago that Kentucky was making some offers to Dan Hurley.
Right.
And made some pretty wealthy offers. I had heard up to $12 million a year. If you figure 8 years, $100 million, that's 12 and a half, I think, if you figure that right. So Kentucky made close to the same offer. I don't know years wise or not, but money wise, they made close to the same offer per year that the Lakers are making here. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because when Kentucky went after him, one of the things that I heard that was kind of a sticking point for Kentucky that would have been against hiring Dan Hurley was that he had NBA aspirations.
Okay. So
that was one of the things that I heard through some of the stuff that that I was listening to, and people that commented on things, not commented, but told me things, sources of a few little here and there. I had heard that Kentucky was worried that if they brought him here and he'd done something in a couple of years, that he would just take off and go to the NBA.
Right.
And that he had NBA aspirations. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. When the Lakers come calling, if you've got NBA aspirations,
then that might be it right there. You're adios.
Yeah.
86 college. You're now headed to the NBA.
NBA aspirations. The only other team, and this is specifically for Dan Hurley, okay? Because Dan Hurley is a New York, New Jersey, Connecticut guy. He's been in that. That's the family and everything. That's who they have been. He's married to a New Jersey woman. He's an East Coast guy. So the only other team that I would ever think that he might have a little more interest in would be the New York Knicks.
I was about to say the Knicks, right? Because that'd be it.
Yeah, and that would be it. Okay, so if you've got NBA aspirations, the Lakers calling may be it. I mean, I don't see how you can pass that up if you've got NBA aspirations.
Strike while the iron's hot. This is because honestly, Kentucky having worried about that, you're dealing with the guy that took a team back-to-back years and won the national championship. So if you're Kentucky and you were thinking that, I mean, it's possible that Kentucky was thinking, if we hire him a few months ago and the NBA came calling this year,
now, Yeah.
that they would have to go and search again. So it
Right.
would be, that was something that they probably were more worried about than, him winning in a couple of years
Yeah,
and then
I'm
going.
just
Because
saying,
I think
I
it's
had
more of a, I
heard-
think it's more of a, we went after him this year
Yeah.
and he didn't even coach a game because he went to
Right.
the NFL.
Yeah,
He went to the
because he
NBA.
left in June or July or whatever.
Right.
Here.
Right. Because you got to
Yeah,
wait for
yeah,
the NBA
absolutely.
to finish, and
and-
that's
And I had heard through some pretty reliable stuff that he had some NBA aspirations and that he eventually wanted to be in the NBA.
well, the Lakers calling could be the call that he's been waiting on. I know that it could be he would probably jump faster at maybe a New York calling, but the Lakers calling, and that may be one that gets him. So we may see a large domino effect in the next few days. I don't know. Obviously they've made some offers to him.
There was talk that we may hear a decision today. I don't know.
Yeah, and the NBA finals are not even, they're what, one game in, maybe two.
So he was supposed to have a meeting with UConn today. I don't know if that meeting was with the brass. I don't know if it was with his players, but I had heard that he was supposed to have a meeting with UConn this afternoon.
Well, we may find out in the next few hours.
Yeah. So, just throwing out some stuff here. You never know. I mean, he is an East Coast guy at nature. Bobby Hurley is at Arizona State, so maybe there's some stuff that's not too far away from out there and that kind of stuff. Some family and things of that nature as well. But I do know that his wife is a true Jersey girl, and it would be something for her to move to LA. So, and she has a little say so in this. I will say that after Kentucky going after him as well. So,
correct.
So that's another thing. The sticking point was that his wife, he doesn't, that he's going to consider what she wants and, and everything like that too. So, so you got all that to consider, but it's possible that it could be a big hole to fill here in the college basketball world and could be a large domino effect if things fall that way, because you're not only talking about a coach, you're talking about players being able to jump in the portal as well for 30 days. So today's college athletic world is a little different and crazy, and it could get pretty crazy, if you got 6 schools, domino effect, and players jumping in and everything,
just watch what the football one went through when Saban retired. Because there was that much that happened after Saban.
Right.
So that was
so
pretty incredible.
And Dan Hurley being back-to-back champs, it's going to be that big of a deal, so in the college basketball world. So
right.
Yep. All right, guys, we have run this about the course that I was planning on doing today. We'll close the show out with this. John, I'll let you talk about our home field apparel.
All right, so
real quick,
home field apparel is one of the most comfortable shirts that you can buy. They are a college or a vintage college sports apparel. They do also do some professional sports as well with the NFL, with the Indianapolis Colts, because they are based out of Indianapolis. But you can go to homefieldapparel.com or download the app and purchase your own shirts, such as this Auburn shirt that I'm wearing right here.